Hello everyone, let us move on to the next experiment. See here, I have a spring in my hand. It feels good to play with this. Okay, come let us see what do we have to do with the spring. Let us now have a look at the title and aim of the experiment. The title of the experiment is Spring Constant. And the aim of the experiment. Aim means what are we actually doing in this experiment? See, we have to find the force constant and effective mass of the helical spring by plotting a graph. Okay, so this is a helical spring. As you can see, this is in the shape of a helix. Okay, and as I pull it, okay, and as soon as I leave it, can you see it is going back? See? Now it is more clear, I guess. Okay, why is it going back? Because I am applying some force and I am pulling it downward. The spring has a property of producing a force within itself which pulls the spring back to its original position, and that force we call it as a restoring force. Okay, and we are now supposed to find the force constant of this given spring. Okay, so I will not go into much theoretical explanation of this because you will be studying about the spring in 2 chapters of your PU syllabus. Straight away, without wasting much of your time, I will carry on with the experiment. Let us have a look at the apparatus required. See, the apparatus required includes a helical spring, which I just showed you now, weight hanger, slotted weights, a stand with a clamp and a stop lock. This is the diagram required for this experiment. You can see this is the rigid support, this is the spring, and here we have some load attached to the spring. This experiment, spring constant, this can be performed using 2 different methods. One of them is extension method and the other is what we will be doing now. It is the oscillation method. Okay, oscillation method means you have already watched the video on simple pendulum. Yes, I am talking about oscillations that we performed in simple pendulum. Similar kind of oscillations we are going to do here and take the readings in a similar way and then tabulate the results. See, this tabular column says first is trial number, next we have load. Load, that is here. What we are going to attach here, we are going to increase the load step by step, and what we are going to do, we are going to record oscillations. Okay, we are not going to record oscillations, we are going to record the time taken for oscillations. And how many oscillations? For 10 oscillations. Okay, so we'll just attach this to the clamp and on the other side we'll attach some mass and we'll set the spring to oscillations and then we'll record the time taken for 10 oscillations. Okay, and as you can see in the tabular column, we have trial number 1 and trial number 2. So, we will always record more number of trials to reduce the error. So, for a given mass, we are going to perform this experiment we are going to perform experiment twice. That is, we will be taking time for 10 oscillations twice, we will be entering it here and finally we will calculate the mean here, and once we are done with this part, we will move on to calculation of period. What is a time period? Time period is the time taken for one oscillation, and to calculate that we have a formula here which is given by T by 10, and what is this small letter t? This comes from this column. Okay, so T by 10 gives the time period, and in the last column we have T square which we will use to plot the graph. Similarly, we will increase the load and the same procedure is carried out, and there are 6 trials to be performed. Okay, so now let us perform the experiment and proceed with the calculation part. This is the experimental setup. This is the stand. This is the rigid support, and here we have fixed the spring. As you can see, there are graduations on this scale. As I mentioned earlier, if we are using the extension method and performing this experiment, then we will be using this scale. Since here we are not going to use that method, we will be continuing the experiment using oscillation method. See here, I have some slotted weights here. So, I will not be attaching this complete weight here. Just to show the oscillations properly, I have chosen some weight here, and as you can see, I am fixing the weight hanger here, and as soon as we have put some load, I think you can notice the extension in the spring. What we are going to do here is, we are going to just pull this weight little bit downwards and release it. As you can see, the spring is oscillating. Okay, and we are supposed to count the time taken for 10 oscillations here. And how do we do that? We are going to use this stopwatch. Okay, and since we are pulling it downwards, so when the spring goes up and comes back, that will be counted as one oscillation. So we will just set the spring into oscillation. We'll pull it down and we'll release it. The spring will start oscillating in a vertical plane about its mean position, and simultaneously we'll switch on this timer and start counting. Now let us perform. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, time taken is 7.7 seconds. Okay. Now, we will repeat the same. Before that, we will reset, and now again we will start. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, the time taken is 7.4 seconds. Okay. Similarly, we will start taking the readings by some small load, and we will go on increasing the load, and for each load we will be recording the time for 10 oscillations twice. Okay, and finally we will tabulate and then plot a graph and see what we have to do next. Now let us tabulate the readings. First we will write down the load that we have used. First trial 0.1 kg, next 0.15 kg, next 0.2 kg, 0.25 kg, last one 0.3 kg. Next we will write the time taken for 10 oscillations. For first trial 8, second trial 7. For second mass, trial 1 9, trial 2 9. Third one, trial 1 10, trial 2 10. Fourth one, trial 1 12, trial 2 12. Fifth one, trial 1 13 seconds, next trial 2 13 seconds. Now let us write down the mean. First one 7.5 seconds, next 9.0 seconds, next 10.0 seconds, next 12.0 seconds, next 13.0 seconds. Now let us write down the period obtained. For first trial, we know the formula, capital T is equal to small t divided by 10. For first trial, it is 0.0 0.75 seconds. Next it is 0.90 seconds. Next it is 1.00 seconds. Next 1.20 seconds. Next 1.30 seconds. In the last column we have t square. We'll write down the data: 0.56 second square, 0.81 second square, 1 second square, 1.00 second square, next 1.44 second square, next 1.69 second square. Next we have to plot a graph which is already ready here. As you can see, we have taken the mass on the x-axis and t square along the y-axis. We have obtained a straight line. This is the slope, and here we have calculated the slope, and the scale taken is in x-axis 1 centimeter is taken to be 0.05 kg, and in y-axis 1 centimeter is taken to be 0.2 second square. This is the slope obtained, that is 4.71. This value of slope we will be using in the formula to find the spring constant. And also we had one more part to be performed in this experiment. I have already mentioned that in the aim of the experiment, that is to find the effective mass. And to find the effective mass, what we have to do, the straight line that we had obtained, we just have to extend it and see where it coincides on the negative x-axis. Here, as you can see, I have marked here it as m0 and it is 0.025 kg. That is, the effective mass of the helical spring used in this experiment is 0.025 kg. Now, we will find out the force constant. To find the force constant, we have a formula: K is equal to 4 pi square divided by m. Here K stands for force constant and m is the slope obtained from the graph. Now we will substitute the value. 4 into 3.14 square divided by 4.71 is equal to 8.37 Newton per meter. Now we will write these data in the result section. First one, the spring constant is found to be 8.37 Newton per meter, and the second one, the effective mass of the helical spring is found to be 0.025 kg. So the result is also written here. This ends the experiment: spring constant.